Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name's Farah Halaby and I'm a professional Muslimah life coach, and tonight I'd like to ask you, or talk to you about what it means to be good enough. And in terms of feeling like you're good enough, what is the definition of good enough? What makes whatever it is that you are trying to do the standard of good, but not just good, but good enough. Good enough for whom? Good enough for what? Good enough under whose set standards? And this comes about really, again, as always, subhanAllah, life, every day is so different, especially, just the people that you interact with, the things that come up, especially in my line of work, the things that come up in client sessions. And I'm always drawn to the beautiful ayah of the Quran that we plan, but Allah is the best of planners, because several times today, not just once or twice, but actually several times, I've planned to do things, or I've had a certain way of thinking, it's going to go a certain way, whether it be a client session, whether it be my day in general. A couple of things have kind of just come out the woodwork, where my plans have been altered slightly, or the things that I expected to happen today didn't. But what actually did happen was obviously meant to happen, because it did. But the gems that come up when, subhanAllah, there is this free space to just be. And something came up in a session today with regards to being good enough, but a little bit further than that. One of my clients, the challenge this week was not so much just feeling that she wasn't good enough, but having this deep kind of unsettling feeling, or sorry, not upsetting feeling, but having this belief that has been created along the years, along the way, that everyone else was doing a much better job than she was. And not just in one area of her life. She was seeing people who were in a better job than she was, who were, even her colleagues doing the job that she does, they were doing it much better than she was. Seeing other people parenting their children much better than she parents hers. Actually thinking that other people could do a better job of not just parenting their own children, but parenting hers too. Thinking that other people could look after her home better than she could. Other people could be a better friend, or a better family member than she could. And when we broke that down, and this is the very beginning of her journey, but when we kind of, investigated, or just went a little bit deeper into how that has come about, because for her it wasn't a kind of, well, they might be better. It was almost this kind of set in stone belief that everyone was better at everything than her. And asking a couple of questions around what she felt about herself, it was very telling that the way that she spoke about herself and how she speaks to herself all goes to substantiate that belief that everyone else is better, that she's not good enough, that she doesn't even rate on the top 100 list of great mumming, being a good wife, in her job, in her side business, in her and this lady, subhanallah, she is active. She is, mashallah, she is, she does so much. Her timetable is full of community stuff, the things that she does with her family, her job, she teaches, subhanallah, this lady, mashallah, is absolutely, she's got a very packed out but fulfilling and beneficial to her calendar. But there is this erroneous belief that she's just not good enough, and that every time she goes out every time she is in the workplace, or even when she's teaching, or when she's dealing with her children, there is this, other people do it much better than me. And it really does affect how she shows up in her work, with her family. So subhanallah, it's quite amazing when people go along their lives, don't they? You see people walking around, beliefs, thoughts, assumptions about themselves. And then what we do as human beings is we act upon those. We act upon those assumptions about ourselves. And the internal dialogue, the internal chatter, it all goes to substantiate what we think we know about ourselves, the beliefs that we hold about ourselves. So to cut a hopefully long story, well, not hopefully long story, but to cut this, relatively short, what's the story percolating in your mind? How do you talk to yourself? What's the cracked, or not cracked, what's the scratched record that's on repeat, that's just, that's on loop in your mind? How do you speak to yourself? What opinions do you hold about yourself? What do you think about yourself? What laws, what rules, what standards, what definitions have you got about yourself? Because this lady, no one had ever said to her that, she's not good enough. No one had actually said to her or articulated to her in that way that she wasn't a good mum, that she wasn't, good at her job. If anything, her manager had recently praised her. Had recently, it wasn't a promotion, but there was something that she'd won an award for, and it was to do with her achievements in work. But even with that, there was still that, that scratched record, that internal dialogue. Not good, they're much better than me. So-and-so's much better at me. This one does it, it makes it look so easy. Other people got more children than me. And, they do it amazingly well. And I can just about cope with my two. So what is it that you say to yourself? What's going around in your mind? And just take a moment. Is it true? Would you speak to others the way that you speak to yourself in your own mind, in your own head? As you know, I'm a bit of an Nosy Parker, so I'd love to know what comes up for you. And if you don't want to put it in the comments, that's absolutely fine. But just reflect upon, what is the way that you speak to yourself? And what difference would it make if you were maybe to change that record? Maybe flip that and say something kinder to yourself based on evidence in your life. Because we don't sit there thinking about how, worrying about how great we've behaved, or, we're not kept up at night, thinking I've done a sterling job today, my parenting on point. We don't worry about that. That doesn't enter our minds. We don't think, do you know what? I've been a smashing wife today. Been absolutely wonderful. Slayed it at work. Did some world-class teaching. I was a good neighbour. I was an amazing person today. No one stays up for that, do they? That doesn't keep you up at night. What keeps you up at night is that internal, incessant, negative chatter. So to flip that to an intentionally evidence-based, evidence-substantiated, real belief about yourself, what would it change? I'd love to know. I'm going to go, and what am I going to go and do now? I don't think I'm going to have a cup of tea, but you never know. Might err on the side of caution, and I might go wild and have some Ovaltine. I don't know, we'll see. But whatever it is that you're doing, I pray that you're safe, well, happy and healthy, and inshallah I shall pop on again tomorrow for another little chewing the cud, having a little chat and seeing what's going on in your life. But for now, Take care. Assalamu alaikum.